Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhairagale ni hao chunushume washmale. Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Halishma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho gracias, swabia, bhalli kare aya. Hoş geldin, anaya sayo, kuyamora, chimato, chihalyot, kalimera, khairuttan. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajar Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Haja, assalamu alaikum, how are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, thank you so much Jazakallah khair for introducing me. So to go on to our stories, the top story is regarding the death anniversary which is being observed of the Begum Nusrat Bhutto. So today happens to be the 13th death anniversary of Begum Nusrat Bhutto, who was the former Premier Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's wife, of course, and Mrs. Bhutto was mother of assassinated People's Party chairperson Benazir Bhutto and the mother-in-law of President Asif Ali Zardari. Pakistan People's Party activists has gathered at the mausoleum of the late Nusrat Bhutto and offered Quran Khwani. In their separate messages, People's Party Chairman and Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari and People's Party Co-Chairman Asif Ali Zardari paid glowing tributes to the late Begum Nusrat Bhutto for her services to strengthen democracy. Both the leaders said Begum Nusrat Bhutto stood against the tyrants and dictators without any fear to uphold the democratic values in the country. And I think one of the immense contribute that we need to pay to the Begum Nusrat Bhutto is how she was very supportive of our slain ex-Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. And whenever we go, especially outside of the Pakistan is known because of Benazir Bhutto. There are a lot of people who flock towards us and they say that you belong to Pakistan, where Benazir Bhutto was the Prime Minister of the country.
Exactly.
That's a moment of pride.
Rest in peace and patience.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi
rajiun. But in addition to this, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it happens to be the 555th birth anniversary of the founder of Sikhism, and certainly we are talking about Baba Guru Nanak, you know, and we'll begin from November 14th at the Gurdwara Janam Asthan Nankana Sahib. Elaborate security arrangements have been made for the event on the instructions of Chief Minister Punjab Maryam Nawaz Sharif Sahiba. Commissioner Lahore Division Zayed bin Maqsood visited Gurdwara Janam Asthan and reviewed the arrangements made there for Sikh pilgrims coming from all over the world and from within the country. He also met the local Sikh leaders at the Gurdwara, inquired about the issues being faced by them. He assured them of solving the problems soon, on which the Sikh leaders thanked him. And I've personally been to Nankana Sahib myself as well. I think that the arrangements every time, you know, it's the birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Sahib as well. I think that the arrangements are flawless. So, you know, kudos to the government of Punjab, to the Chief Minister and all of the law enforcing agencies present on the occasion.
And I think a lot of people speak about how peaceful that entire place is. So in another related interesting development, life might thrive under the frozen water on Mars. A study by the NASA says the study's author used computer modeling to show that photosynthesis is possible in the shallow pools of meltwater under the surface of the ice based on the amount of the sunlight that can shine through it. The microbes could find a potential home under the ice similar to what has been observed on the Earth. On Earth, pools of water within the ice have been found to harbor algae, fungi and bacteria, and photosynthesis powers all of them. The lead of the study, Aditya Kular of the NASA, has said that the Martian ice exposures are probably one of the most accessible places we should be looking for life in the universe today. This paper has been published in Communication, Earth and Environment. And who knows what wonders these celestial bodies are hiding, what mysteries they are hiding for us humanity. And once again, I always say that whenever we talk about these celestial bodies, they just remind us of the nothingness of the man. They're so expensive, so wide, there's so much to know outside there, and we know nothing, right?
And obviously, you know, it's all because of technology that we're able to actually figure out all of these, you know, celestial bodies, or probably life under seabed, or probably if there's life on Mars as well or not. But ladies and gentlemen, this process has not been really easy, and it's because of the fact that I think that we do believe that we are a digital economy, right? You know, Haja, that's exactly the narrative.
Or we aspire to be, right?
Yeah, or we aspire to be.
Yes.
I think that's exactly where I wanted to bring this conversation, because even I think before this day, early morning, me and Haja never knew that, you know, that wherever we are in terms of digitalization, We thought, okay, that's it. But ladies and gentlemen, certainly that's not it. What the government is doing to be at the forefront of the digitalization is something that we will be talking about today. How we will become paperless is something that we will talk about. And not just that, obviously it will bring along a lot of transparency, and then there's an index in which Pakistan has actually jumped 14 places. How did we do that is something we will be discussing. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who actually happens to be Dr. Babar Majid Bhatti Saab, CEO, NITB. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here.
Walaikum assalam, Shehzad and Hajra. Thank you.
It's
Thank you
an
for inviting me.
absolute pleasure, Dr. Saab, for hosting you. And our IT Minister, Shahzad Fatma Saiba, has said that she wants to make Islamabad a model digital city, right? And you have a plan for that. So please go ahead, elaborate. What are you doing in the NITB?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, first of all, bringing up the case of digitalization. So the question is, why digitalization?
Yeah.
I mean, why should we do it? Why
Because
should
we already thought, see, sir, you know, I think this is how it should go. You know, so we were making online transfers. We were, you know, probably submitting our bills, you know, online, transferring money, you know, emails and everything. We thought we are already digitalized, you know. So please tell us if that's the definition of digitalization.
Yeah, the thing is, yes, that is bit and parcel of digitalization.
Okay.
But the real benefits of digitalization, you know, we need to understand why.
Sure.
So first of all, let's look at the fastest emerging economies, countries in the world.
Yeah.
So if you see, there's a very strong correlation between their economic growth and the pace of their digitalization,
Okay.
which is a solid evidence that this is how we need to do follow the same trajectory to be on the development path.
True.
Now, when I say digitalization, there are three parts of it. One is digital society. That's exactly what we were talking about. So it means like if you're paying the bill online, yeah, a bit of digitalization is there. But what it means is, if there's an issue in your bill, are you able to solve it online? No. Then similarly, are all services at your disposal? If you want to visit your relative in Australia, and you want to schedule, my water services should be discontinued from this date to this date. Can you do that online? No. If there's a problem in your utility bill, can you do it online?
No.
No, not today. But in the digitalized economies, you can, right? If you need, let's say you need to see a doctor, can you get an appointment at home through digital services? Partly, yes, there are a few apps doing it. But, you know, there's
Not
a lot to do.
comprehensive, yes, yeah,
So when I say the first part is digital society, it means the society, the citizens get those digital benefits.
So all steps of any process needs to be digitalized, basically.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not only development of the apps, it is the underlying business processes as well. So very rightly pointed out. So this is the first part. The second part is digital economy. You know, we all complain like we're paying a lot of taxes. Naturally, we're doing. Why?
Right.
Because so many others are not paying. Why are they not paying? Because they're paying through cash, and that cash is not coming into the system. So we need to have a cashless economy, and for cashless economy, we need to have a digitalized economy.
True.
And that is the way to go. And it's not only digitalization of ourselves, because when everyone will be paying the taxes, believe me, your taxes will come down.
But sir, I mean, just to be a devil's advocate here, for example, in countries like America, which are extremely digitalized, or there's a more digital connectivity as compared to Pakistan. I mean, they're also rich, finds a lot of loopholes to avoid the, tax paying that. For example, in the city of New York, there's so many rich people, but they don't pay the taxes, and the debate is same that rich don't pay the taxes, poor pay the taxes, and that is why there's so many taxes on that.
That is right. Look, I mean, now that is a slightly different topic, but I'll give you a hint on that.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing is, one thing is tax avoidance, one tax erosion,
Yes.
and one thing is, you avoid it through legal channels, and other thing is erosion, that you cheat it.
So they find legal channels.
Yes. So that is a different thing, but following the policies is different. So this is how you drive economy, your country's priorities. I don't say right or wrong, but the thing is, our problem is different. Our problem is,
हम तो देते ही नहीं है ना सर.
we don't give it.
We are not registered in
Why
the
are we
tax
not
bill.
doing
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So we need to increase the tax net, and that can only happen because we are all salary-based people. We do legitimate things. You pay the tax before
22%
you
or
get the salary.
21% tax is being deducted every
Exactly.
month from my salary, and that's just too much.
So why others are not paying? Because they're using cash.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to do the cashless economy, and it's also a citizen to the services to the citizens.
Sir, if it would have been possible for me, sir, I would have used cash, but I don't have any cash.
When I
But
carry,
yeah, in addition to this, very quickly, obviously, do you think that bringing people into the tax net is the only purpose of digitalization?
No.
Or are there other benefits
no,
of it?
this is one big benefit, but there are many others. For example, when you have the digital economy, you know, that is when you pave the way for your digital exports.
Okay.
You know, we know countries whose economy is dependent on digital exports, which are far more than the countries who are exporting oil today. So that means, very rightly said, data, digitalization is the oil of today. So to do that, so that is the digital economy part.
Right.
And then the third part is when we say digitalize everything, give services to digitalization, and as a government, we need to be efficient and transparent as well. So we need to digitalize the government, which is called digital governance. So there are bigger initiatives, paperless, you know, initiatives that we have taken in the government.
Aspiring to be,
So these are the three parts when we say digitalization, and when it is done, you can see billions of dollars we can contribute to the economy. We can reduce the taxes of individuals by
Right.
increasing the tax net. We can have, you know,
So, Dr. Bhatti, now let's have a very focused discussion, that too centered on the Islamabad. So we are the residents of Islamabad. Are we expecting any app that will tell us if there are route blockages? For example, we have to commute all the way from the office to Islamabad, and every other day there's some sort of, you know, digestion, conversion, and some sort of congestion
Some application
happening.
which will tell us where the containers are today.
Instead of getting it from some random Twitter sources or from the word of the mouth, can we have like more city-based delivery services on that app? You
yes.
know,
What
do
I
you
will tell you here is, because I'll keep an element of suspense here, because
Okay.
something
Interesting.
is coming, is just around the corner.
Okay.
Wow.
Right, driven by the Prime Minister Saab and Ma'am Shiza Fatma.
Right.
She's taken an initiative, and the only thing I will tell you for now is we have selected Islamabad as the first pilot.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
digitalization of Islamabad,
Wonderful.
and something is just around the corner.
Right.
And everything you mentioned,
Right.
even more than that, is
That's-
coming, including
So we will be having
the
you again on the
ambulance.
show, to
Yeah.
shed the light
So,
on that.
so that is coming right around the corner.
Right.
I'll not tell you because there's an official announcement that will come few days
Okay.
later.
Of course, of
But
course.
yes, what you mentioned, more than that
So
is
And
coming.
keeping the,
Tell us
please.
about the Beep too, right? So, sir, this is a platform where you want to connect, you know, the offices, and what exactly is that for your audiences? Please go ahead.
Yeah,
and
look, first of all, just to simplify the concept, let me give you, like, in our official communication today,
explain. Right.
I mean, all of us see the usage of WhatsApp is very common.
Yeah.
Just as one example, and there are many other third-party
Yep.
chat applications as well.
True.
I mean, what happens with the privacy, even if you assume security? I still doubt security, but let's not talk about it. Privacy. The message first goes across the borders, then it comes back.
Yes. Yes.
What about the privacy? What about our own data secrecy?
Yeah.
So we have come up with our own application. It's Pakistan's app. In the first phase, Government of Pakistan. Later on, maybe all citizens of Pakistan. So it is something which is going to revolutionize the communication in Pakistan.
All right.
But this is just a part of communication chat.
Right.
Then what about Zoom? If you do a free Zoom, after 40 minutes, 45 minutes, you cut off and then you
Yeah.
do it again, right?
So it's available to all the users.
So it has, yes. So it for now to the government. So you don't need to buy Zoom licenses now. So
Okay.
Zoom is also there.
Interesting.
And it is also integrated with your e-office. So a government officer who is on holidays cannot say, oh, sorry, I'm on holidays. No. Even if you're sitting on a hilltop, you have internet, you need to
You might
respond.
be
to
If
your-
missing
he's
a
on
lot of
holiday, let him be
consistency,
on holiday at least. But sir,
I mean, as a convenience,
Yeah.
not as a.
Yeah.
But sir, in addition to this, I think it's great to see that that Pakistan is actually bringing up its
Right.
own applications, and that too in the limelight of making sure that the entire conversations are actually secure as well. While we're at it, what do you think is the strategic objective of such applications to be introduced and roll out for the general masses? People like me, Hajra, you obviously too as well. So what's the strategic objective?
Look, the strategic objective is, first of all, as mentioned, our data, our privacy is important.
All right.
We need to keep it in-house, right? This is the first thing. Second is the efficiency, efficiency in communications.
Yeah. File
Like-
kahin phas nahi gayi, सर अब
exactly.
इधर से साइन होंगे फिर अब उसके पास जाएगी
Yes.
फिर अब फोन नहीं करना पड़ेगा
Exactly. When you
all of that.
send a message to someone, sir, I have to go back to the office and I'll look into the file and get back to you. It'll
Yeah.
take 2, 3, 4 days. What about the common citizen whose case is pending?
True.
Oh my
So now, if you want to do it, convenience is there, minutes, and
Yeah.
it's integrated with your office. So no alibi that oh I have to go back to the office. I mean,
And how will it benefit us? Now imagine that you actually touched upon right in the beginning as well, that with digital economy, you know, obviously, you know, it's going to benefit Pakistan. And, you know, because just yesterday we were in conversation with the former ambassador to the WTO. He was here, he spoke about, you know, how the economy is actually stabilizing it. Our economy is being stabilized by the, you know, incumbent government as well. Do you think that digitalization actually plays a role and it actually kind of attracts other stakeholders to come, you know, from across the border and invest in Pakistan?
that is exactly right. And this digitalization is an essential pillar behind all those trusts and all those growth of the economies. Imagine, I come from an overseas perspective as well. So when I came in the beginning, I was having a discussion as a CEO of an NITB. I was having a discussion with one NGO, and they were complaining, we don't get funds. I said, the thing is, if I look from an overseas perspective, I will not give you funds. They
Yeah.
said, why? I don't know where it went.
True.
Right. So
No
for the first thing
transparency.
they said,
Exactly
what should
what
we do?
IMF did with us, probably.
Yeah. The first thing we did was they asked for help, we implemented, we automated and gave visibility to their funds. Their donations increased. This
Yeah.
is just about a donation example.
True.
What about the government as a whole? What about the projects? When you give the projects and when you have transparency and efficiency. Now, what I mean by efficiency is, gone are the days when you used to write with pen and a paper
Dear sir,
yes,
Assalamu
exactly.
alaikum.
How many letters a government officer can respond to while writing on paper?
I don't think they
4,
even read
5,
it all.
6.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't. On digital platform today, I mean, more than 20, 30 complex cases I do every day, more than 50 to 100 letters I do every day, and they go across. The moment I've clicked the button, it goes to the secretary, it goes to the ministry, and no communication, because when the file used to be transported, it used to take 2-3 days to dispatch.
And you certainly have decreased the timeline, right? And
That is the efficiency.
that is the efficiency and the accountability, which are the essential pillar of the good governance.
And one last part is, which we need to highlight, is the transparency.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard or read on the newspapers like the government files were lost because of the fire or something, or
Oh, yes,
when
yes.
the audit objection happened and that exact same paper was missing in the file?
Yeah.
It's not possible now
Yeah.
That's very
because
true.
of the electronic.
So what if the data is not encrypted anymore? It can still happen, you know, but in a modern way.
No, the thing is, it's easy to think like that because we don't know how it's secure.
Yeah.
But one thing I can give you in a simple words is, digital system is far more secure
Yeah.
than a paper-based.
So how good are we with our cybersecurity then?
Look, the way we work is, cybersecurity is one important aspect, because since it's my area of PhD is cybersecurity as well. So first thing that makes me worry about any system is about its security aspect. So to answer that question, I'll give you a very simple thing. Like, before we develop or launch any product in NITB or Government of Pakistan, what we do is, first, security is built into the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second, when we do it, then an internal security testing and penetration testing happens within our premises. Then third is, we get security and penetration testing done through a third party. And fourth, we involve the agencies and we ask them to help us
Right.
strengthening the security, harden the system, and then we
And
offer.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for shedding the light that how there are multiple layers of security involved, the encryption and whatever, to make sure that there's a cyber security. But thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Bhatti, for coming here, for shedding the light on the wonderful work on the digital integration that this
NITB,
government is
yeah.
doing. And yes, and IT Minister also talked about that, how she wants to make Islamabad a model digital city. But like Shahzad alluded to his last question, so cybersecurity is a topic which has garnered an immense debate and immense interest, not just in public discourses, but also in the academic discourses. We will further delve into that, but after a short break. Don't go anywhere. Good morning.
We'll be right back. Thank you, sir.
Welcome back, and in a very interesting development, there has been some news, especially on the Egyptian front, and it's related to malaria. So what is it? That Egypt has been declared
Wow.
malaria-free by World Health Organization, a feat which is very difficult to accomplish. Congratulations on the Egypt. Malaria is spread through, of course, mosquitoes and is mostly found in the tropical areas. Egypt has been certified as malaria-free, with WHO calling the achievement truly historic and the culmination of nearly a century of work to stamp out the disease. Malaria is as old as the Egyptian civilization itself, but the disease that plagued the pharaohs now belongs to the history and not its future. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said in a statement on Sunday, the certification of Egypt as malaria-free is truly historic and a testament to the commitment of the people and the government of Egypt to rid themselves
Wow.
of the disease.
So congratulations to them. We hope and we aspire to be, one of those countries as well where we get malaria, dengue free as well. But while we are
Polio-free, yeah.
at it, ladies and gentlemen, there's another scientific development which I believe is truly amazing, because a lot of people do struggle, where they unfortunately their organs fail and they certainly cannot find another donor. So imagine that we could grow organs in space, bring them to Earth for transplants, and that's exactly what research suggests. So scientists hope to grow organs in space and bring them back down to Earth in a move that could transform liver transplantation. New research is using experiments on board the International Space Station to test the self-assembly of human liver tissues so that they can be used in medical context. The kind of microgravity that is found in low Earth orbit, the area of space below an altitude of 1200 miles where the International Space Station floats, may address some of the problems with engineering tissues that we face on Earth. Wow.
I think that's very interesting, but I would be really cautious about getting that organ in my body. But again, obviously, whenever there is new introduction or new innovation, so that there is a resistance
But God
to that.
forbid, for people, who are still waiting for people who are going to donate them probably an organ. I think it's going to be good news for them.
Yeah, of course, it's a good news, but I mean, science will tell how successful is this experiment. But now, as I alluded to the conversation before going on to the break, that cybersecurity is one particular area which has garnered a lot of attention and a lot of interest. And a very interesting development, the Global Cybersecurity Index 2024 has ranked Pakistan in the top tier. What does that mean? And there's also a cybersecurity authority set up, which will be set up by 2025. So to further expand on this conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by Zaki Khalid, who happens to be the intelligence expert. Assalamu alaikum, Zaki, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum assalam and good morning to both of you. Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you too as well. Wonderful to have you.
It's an
So,
absolute pleasure.
previously, Zaki, we were at number 79. Now we happen to be ranked in number 1 tier. If we are to talk about cybersecurity, what does that mean? First of all, let's start from here.
What that means primarily is that what we've done is we've emplaced certain safeguards and tried to improve our capabilities when it comes to protecting critical systems, programs, and also networks from intrusion of non-state as well as hostile state actors. And I think it goes to show how far different state institutions have pooled their resources to try to reduce the level of threat. Because obviously, when we talk about cybersecurity, it is an ever evolving and rapidly um, perplexing phenomenon that cannot be understood or cannot be diminished entirely, not even by some of the most developed countries in the world. So I think even slow and steady progress in this matter makes a big difference, and it is something that needs to be pushed continuously year on year.
Zaki, so it's a very interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary sort of a field, and there are different collaborations which needs to happen in order to protect or give the defenses against the cyber criminal activities. But as a state, how safe are we, or what is the state doing to protect us from the cyber criminal activities? For example, the hackings which are going on and the bank frauds that are going on, for example, the ATM frauds. So, I mean, when we talk about Pakistan being in the top tier of the cyber security ranking, does it means that we are protected against these cyber criminal activities?
Well, to be fair, I think you make a very interesting point. The banking sector indeed happens to be the most vulnerable sector affected by cyber attacks year on year. And one of the most interesting statistics, which I would like to share with you, is that the US continues to be one of the largest targets and the victims of cybersecurity attacks, more than 50%. So that just goes to show you that no matter how strong your defenses are, how politically strong you are, or how economically large you are, the more um, infrastructure you have, the more services you provide to people, the more you are vulnerable to the sort of activities which can compromise those very systems which are holding critical data. And I think when we look at some of the major developed countries, for Pakistan, with its limited resources and its limited capabilities, it has come a long way. We were one of the first countries in one of the oldest countries in South Asia, actually, to have developed an IT policy. And over the passage of time, we have trained a lot of resources. Pakistan has an abundance of resources, talented men and women. We also have highly qualified academia who
$4 billion
teach
of
us about
IT
cybersecurity.
exports as well. But Zaki, in addition to this, there's one more question that I need to ask. Now, imagine that, our Honorable IT Minister, Ms. Shahzad Fatma, actually spoke about the Inter Telecommunication Union's Global Security Cybersecurity Index, where we are labeled at, or probably are placed in Tier 1. Now, imagine she actually thanked the PTA, SIFC, Planning Commission Ministry, Defense Ministry, FIA, all the law enforcing agencies as well. What role do you think all of these ministries and law enforcing agencies play in making Pakistan cyber secure?
Well, basically, to answer your question, first of all, we have to understand that whether or not we talk about state institutions, cybersecurity, even at a very individual level, is a mindset. It has more to do with your psychological and cultural understanding about this threat as compared to adopting the latest antivirus or a protective mechanism. You can have the best antivirus software in the world, and still you could be susceptible to, for example, if you are manipulated through attacks such as social engineering attacks, which rely not on your computer weaknesses, but being psychologically manipulated through deceptive conversations online, and people, for example, trying to persuade you into clicking hostile links which can compromise your system credentials. So I think in that larger context, the people of Pakistan, by and large, the citizens have gradually understood that cybersecurity, as your colleague rightly mentioned, is an interdisciplinary phenomenon, and it goes not beyond the technological realm. And our state institutions have been pooling together their resources for a long time, and they have tried to improvise and try to develop a
Right.
means through which these threats could be reduced at as little as
Right. So,
possible.
so
But I
when we
think
talk about reducing the frequency of the threat or the intensity of the threat, I think, Zaki, one of the very important conversation that we need to have in this field is the attribution, right? How do you attribute, like, who did the cyber attack in the first place? Was it a non-state actors? Was it a deliberate planning? Or was it, some a genius sort of a kid who was sitting in the basement doing it just for the fun? Or was it a deliberate attack planned to, I mean, disrupt your economic activity? How far are we in this conversation, especially as a state in the cybersecurity, I would say,
Real.
spectrum?
Yeah.
well, basically, you see, since Sir Tim Berners-Lee popularized and invented the World Wide Web in 1989, and it became available to the masses at large, because of which people equated it with a global village. Since then, each and every computer system and network in the world has been susceptible to any sort of attacks. And the important point over here is that cybersecurity attacks and the threats were limited to a specific group of people who were either very skilled in them, or they had developed those niche capabilities. What has happened over the past few years, especially since 2022, with the invention of ChatGPT and similar large language model applications, which are otherwise popularly referred to as AI chatbot applications, what has happened is that they these applications have made it very easy for even very amateur people who may not be that technically qualified to develop tailor-made threat applications that can target and compromise adversary systems. So, for example, if there's someone, as you mentioned, someone is sitting in a basement, he decides that he wants to try to access the personal credentials of someone they dislike, then they can develop an application within a few minutes if they enter the right prompt in such GPT applications. Or, for example, there is a group of cyber criminals who want to compromise the banking system. So instead of uh, like previously it was the trend, instead of outsourcing these attacks to criminal groups that are transnational in nature, and you can't really get a hold on them. You mentioned a very interesting point about attribution. So, for example, earlier it was the case that a group of hackers used to be based in country X, some would be in country Y, and a few would be in country Z. They would coordinate their activities together. Now it has, thanks to AI applications, it has become so geographically complex and diverse and multi-layered that the phenomenon of attribution has become more and more difficult, and that just adds to the further woes.
Exactly. And in addition to this, Zaki, very quickly, one last question, and that is that do you think that, we are talking about the realm of cybersecurity, we need to rely on our own or probably home-based cloud services? Do you think this is something which will essentially help us in making sure that we're more secure?
I think that is, to a certain extent, that is the case. I have always been an advocate of developing indigenous national solutions. And for example, when we talk about national data centers, or there have been some countries that have even started to develop national operating systems. I will go so far. That sounds extremely ambitious when we talk about developing countries, but still, I think primarily it all boils down to the fact that if we as users of the internet have that basic element of consciousness that what we are doing online is susceptible to vulnerability, and we need to be aware about how people can not just compromise us technically but also psychologically through manipulation, then we can develop the right attitude through which we can tackle those things. It now tackling it could be through what you suggested. It could be through a certain cloud service, or it could be through more increased awareness and adopting better practices through um, consulting with the government or private consultants, etc.
Right. Thank you so much, Zaki, for having this wonderful conversation and for giving a very insightful thoughts regarding the cybersecurity and how, as a state, we need to move beyond their 20th century security paradigm, and we need to protect ourselves against the cyber threats. And I think government is doing exactly the same by establishing that cyber security authority that will protect the country against the cyber threats.
Exactly. And not just that, I think in addition to this, let's move on towards, sports as well, because imagine
Yes.
sports these days are actually even digitalized.
Oh, yes,
You
of
can follow your games and matches on different applications which are out there, and you will not even miss a ball. So imagine that there are applications where there will certainly be commentary available ball by ball, so which is why, I want to bring your attention towards where Pakistan Shaheens will face United Arab Emirates today in the men's T20 Emerging Teams Asia Cup at Al Amirat Cricket Ground, Oman. PTV Sports HD obviously is telecasting the entire event live. Earlier, Pakistan Shaheens defeated Oman by 74 runs in their second match. Pakistan need a win to qualify for the semi-finals because the first one they lost against India wasn't really a very heartwarming news for us to kind of see. But yes, so I want to certainly wish best of luck to Pakistan Shaheens and make sure that they make it to their semi-finals. In addition to this, obviously from tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, the third and the final test match will begin in between Pakistan and England. Pakistan obviously is at level with England because one test match England won, the other one Pakistan won because of the spin wicket that we actually produced. And certainly, obviously, England squad has actually made a lot of changes, to their playing 11 because they certainly have this idea that they will make a spin wicket. And obviously, there was a session which underwent, everybody's preparing, and we certainly want to kind of seize victory over here because after almost 3 years and 11 months, that was the first victory that we had on our home ground. So imagine it was a longer haul, and Shan Masouda, our skipper, obviously is very kind of confident about it that yes, okay, we're going to go for it. But I think it's because of Akib Javed Saab that we were able to kind of get that victory. We have Mohammad Awais, happens to be an expert himself, talking about this entire game which will take place from tomorrow onwards. Hello Awais, Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam, Shahzad, how are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for
it's
joining us. Wonderful to have you. I think I'll let Hajra ask the first question, then we'll continue.
Yes,
Ji,
well,
Hajra.
ladies first, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Awais, there's a lot of conversation and commentary regarding the flat pitch, right, that the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium has to offer. So, please tell us about what does that mean? And there were also very widely circulated pictures where they're showing that there are fans on the pitch. What is this entire scenario developing? Please go ahead.
This pictures only can be shown by the Pakistan Cricket Board. Even I was shocked to see what what we are trying to just get from the Pindi wicket, because Pindi wicket, what I know because I've played many matches over there, it basically suits your fast bowlers. It's not an easy wicket where you can just on the first day you get more turnover there. It takes around 2 to 3 days to get turn from the spinner. So I don't know. They're trying the level best to get the grass brown so they can have the spin bowling option into play. But the biggest problem of what Pakistan cricket really needs to fix is their batting order, because the batting has not been clicking. If you talk about Abdullah Shafiq, he has been an asset for Pakistan from so many long time, but he hasn't been consistently performing well for Pakistan. Same as with Saim Ayub. I still don't figure out one thing, that when you have a player called like Herrera, who had scored 300 in the domestic structure, who scored 202, he knows well this wickets, because when you talk about the top performers of domestic structure, this is the right time and right series where you give them chance on your home conditions, where they know their home conditions and they can perform well. But unfortunate, what we do is that we get these guys to play in the conditions like Australia, where they don't perform well, and we start criticizing them. That's the thing that Pakistan Cricket Board really needs to look on. Shan Masood was confident in the press conference, but he looks, if you just look at his face, you know that he's feeling that pressure of not performing well, because as a captain, you need to lead from the front. He hasn't been performing well. There would
Brother. Yeah, there's a question, can you please speak a little slowly? And there's another question. Now, the question is that imagine that this victory against England, in the second test match came after 3 years and 11 months. So we have seen that 27 of these selectors were changed, and finally it was Aleem Dar, Azhar Ali, and obviously the gentleman himself, Mr. Aqib Javed Saab, who actually took this very tedious decision where, Babar Azam was being dropped from the series, Shaheen was dropped, Naseem was dropped. Now, do you think that it is because of the fact, and all of those three people or players who came in, Kamran Ghulam, obviously, and then, our spinners, Noman and Sajid, all of these three people actually should be wearing the crown of that match that we won. Do you think that this was the right decision, and do you think that it might not be the right decision on Pindi's wicket? All right.
I think
the signals did drop as
the
well.
signals
But
drop,
while we are at it,
I guess you're the expert, so please, I think you know the answer to that.
So while we are at it, now
Right.
imagine for everybody who's out there, what actually happened was that Aqib Javed took this decision, and then, he went to the curators and he was like, okay, we need a spin wicket.
Okay.
We need a rough square so that, that the ball is actually kind of breaking on the wicket as well. And that's exactly what happened, which is why we were able to get those wickets. So imagine from 1970s till 2024, never ever this occasion has actually taken place where only two bowlers have taken all the 20 wickets in a test match.
Okay,
Now, that's for Sajid and Noman. In addition to this, if we come down to Pindi, obviously because they were earlier thinking that we're going to move the third match to Multan as well.
Okay.
But now finally it's happening in Pindi, and what's going to happen is that over here, on this wicket, obviously it's, the bounce is a little higher. So I don't know. I think it's going to be truly on to the curators and the people who are going to look after the pitch affairs, whether they can make a spin wicket or not. Because in addition to this, on the other hand, England is actually bringing, or probably, making sure that Rehan actually comes back in. Then they have got Shoaib Bashir, then there's Gus Atkinson. So they are coming up with spin heavy team. So I don't know whether, because
but
Pakistan,
as far as I know, obviously you are the expert in this particular field, but Pakistan has always produced some very legendary bowlers, right, for fast bowlers particularly. And when we talk about this particular pitch, so what are the prospects for that? I mean, obviously once the cricket match starts, then you're better able to comment on that. But from their performances, from the judging from the previous two matches, what do you see?
So now, Haja, what they did was that, in Multan, they actually played 4 spinners and only 1 pacer.
Okay.
And that was Amir Jamal. And we did had Mir Hamza on the bench as well. And Mir Hamza was that bowler that they could have utilized. Now, on Pindi's pitch, because it's, nobody knows the kind of pitch that they're making. So I think by today, everybody will know the air will clear and the picture will be in front of us, whether what sort of players are we going to go with.
Right.
So as soon as the playing 11 is out there, ladies and gentlemen, we will know, what sort of pitch is there. And tomorrow morning, you can certainly tune into PTV Sports around 8:30, where I'll sit down with Shoaib Akhtar and ask him the same question. Let's do it that way.
That's very interesting, and best of luck to Pakistan's cricket team. May the best team win. But obviously, there's a lot of sentimental value attached with this sport, because it's not just a sport; it's more than that, especially for the Pakistani nation. So we are winding up our segment and also our program. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning.
Have a great day. Thank you.